Take it there? Who gon' take it there? Who gon' take it there? Who gon' take it there? Electricity, 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 electricity. You know what's in the air. 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 It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility. It's possibility.
So Trump doesn't seem to be backing off of these tariffs. And his base can't quite figure out how to back him up on this. Is it a negotiation tactic? Is it 4D chess? Is it all a part of a plan? Is it because Trump simply knows better and he knows that things are going to be so great and abundant and amazing on the other end of these tariffs? They don't really know. But they are trotting out all of these defenses. Many of them are trying to say things like, it doesn't matter what happens because of the tariffs. It doesn't matter if the stock market's crashing. None of that stuff really matters. What matters is patriotism. What matters is America, dog. And this is good for America. I guess that's what they're going with. That's what they're going with over at Fox News. And pretty much the entire Republican apparatus has been gutted of any ability to really stop this. I mean, you know, I have lots of conflicting thoughts about what's going on, and that's what we'll get into. But I keep coming back to the idea of just like, why are we letting this guy do this? Why? Just because he won an election for the second time, we're just letting this guy do whatever. There's no guardrails. Not from his own party, not from the opposition party, from the people who elected him, from the many, many, many more millions of people that did not elect him. Like, why are we letting this guy decide, you know, what all of our fates are going to be economically? He doesn't seem to have any type of logic or calculus behind any of it. And if I had to try to figure out what was going on in his head, I think it's the idea that you know, the negotiation, the ability to negotiate is going to come from putting all of these other countries in an urgent position. So he's essentially using all of the leverage that America has economically all at once, all over the world, in one broad swoop. And he's saying that America has a bigger economy, and, you know, so we can afford all of this stock market crash. And it's going to put enough pressure on the rest of the countries of the world that they're going to be forced to do what? I don't know, renegotiate trades. I'm not convinced that he knows how this stuff works, because his idea of what a trade deficit is doesn't really seem to match up with reality. He seems to think that we're getting ripped off, when really what it comes down to is that different countries have different things to export. So, like, it doesn't really make sense for the give and take to be even on certain items, because we're getting more of certain items from certain places, like tech from China or bananas or whatever. We're not exporting bananas, we're importing bananas. That's your trade deficit right there. So I don't know. I don't think anybody around Trump knows what he's doing. I have to imagine they're panicking behind the scenes. I mean, all these guys who are in Trump's cabinet, these are not people who are detached from the stock market and from, you know, the financial sector. And so as much as people might want to say, like, Trump's going against, you know, Wall Street, he's going against the rich. I mean, let's be clear, he is. This is going to hurt them. It's going to hurt the lower class more. And I don't think Trump would be doing this unless he had an idea of some kind of gambit that he could pull to make sure that the wealthiest class stays the wealthiest class. And it looks like what he's going to try to do is cut taxes using some of this supposed revenue from these tariffs. Except where those tariffs are going to come from is consumers and the middle class and the lower class. So essentially, these tariffs are a vehicle through which we can subsidize tax cuts for the rich. Yet another transfer of wealth upward. That's really what it comes down to. That's the most likely way for this to manifest, because the companies that have to deal with these tariffs are not going to eat the cost. And even if they want to build factories in America that, you know, companies that don't have factories here are going to bring manufacturing here, that's going to take a long time. And it's not just a matter of like, we're not going to see the awesome, cool benefits of that until the factories are built. It's the fact that so much damage is going to be done to the supply chain in the meantime. And that's not going to automatically be fixed because more factories pop up here. So there might be some kind of new norm that, you know, takes shape eventually if these tariffs hold. But we're talking like after this term, after this presidential term, that we're going to see like stability again from this. So we have to wonder what exactly is Trump's, not so much his plan, but what does he think the timeline is here? And how long does he plan to hold out on these tariffs? Because, you know, he's posturing as though this is the new norm and everybody else is going to have to deal with it, and he's not backing off of it. And he said he's open to some negotiating, but, you know, I don't think that, honestly, I don't think he's a very good negotiator, because I think for the most part, this tough guy act just ends up pushing negotiations away. And so that seems to be what's happening so far. And yeah, I mean, the question is, how long is he going to hold this out for? Is this some kind of gambit? And if he is going to hold it, then what is that going to manifest as? And that's really what is most interesting about this to me, is that if Trump really plans to see this through, I don't think he's really grappled with the way that this is going to change the economy for the worse in most ways. And it's just interesting that he's tied his entire presidency to this one thing. And just out the gate, he has decided that he is going to absolutely wreck the stock market. And this is not just like a stock market crash. This is like, there's a reason the stock market's crashing. And it's because things are about to become very volatile and nobody knows what's going to happen. But the things that people do know based on this policy are not good. And so that's why there's a lot of panicking right now. And I honestly think it's a good thing that Trump did this now when he did, because I mean, it's honestly hilarious to me. I'm trying not to be glib about this because I genuinely think it's going to be bad. And, you know, who knows what's going to happen. He might renege and ditch all of this stuff. But I think at this point, even if he does view this as some kind of negotiating tactic, he also knows that, like, being wishy-washy about it defeats the purpose. So I think right now his gambit is to just hold fast on this. And I don't think he has any concept of how bad things are going to get because of this. They said that a stock market crash wasn't in the plan. That's the message they're putting out publicly. So, I mean, ostensibly, these guys lie like they breathe. But, you know, in theory, that means they didn't think the market would crash like this. And so it's like, so what did you think was going to happen? And the fact that we elected this guy again and he did this immediately is genuinely funny as fuck. Like, and especially if this is as disastrous as it could potentially be, and like in a way that's like irreversible, then it's just like, it's like we bought it, we got what we paid for, and that's it. And the other thing is that despite the fact that it might genuinely cause some kind of recession or some type of economic fallout that we haven't really seen, at least not in a long time, the thing is that Trump immediately wrecking the economy like this means that whatever this mandate is that they think they have surfed into office on, it's gone. It's gone. And the thing that's crazy to me is that, like, I knew Trump was insane. I knew Trump did a lot of stupid things and, like, isn't actually good at this president thing. Anybody who was paying attention last time knows that. But I guess what I was expecting this time is, like, the corruption, right? Like, I was expecting the outright criminality to be really stealing the show at this phase of the presidency. You know what I mean? Because now he has this total, if he has a mandate for anything, it's to do whatever crimes he wants to do and get away with it, because the Supreme Court gave him immunity. He got convicted of 34 felonies and people still elected him again. So it's like, that's what I was expecting him to do, is just as many crimes as he could possibly get away with as fast as possible. And I'm sure that there's some of that going on behind the scenes, but what he's really chosen to do is just the most insane thing to cause the most instability in society as he possibly can. And look, the scariest possible version of that is this idea that Trump is doing this on purpose because he thinks that the instability will be good for him, that he can, take power or do fascistic things that he wouldn't be able to do in a normal economy. That's entirely true, but the instability is going to go the other way too, probably much worse than whatever he's going to be able to get away with quickly in terms of government overreach and consolidation of power. And none of that is out of the question. Like the idea that he would, call martial law or something like that is 100% on the table. Do I think he's thinking that? Probably not. Do I think it's crossed his mind? Almost certainly. And so, that's the darkest possible version of the future. But again, in that version, you would have to imagine not only a Trump that is trying to play 4D chess, but a Trump that is competent at 4D chess and is competent at pulling off some kind of mass economic crash maneuver power grab. And I really just don't think what Trump is really good at is forcing his way through situations. And so it's entirely possible that crashing the economy and then searching for ways that he can be opportunistic in that environment is kind of what he's thinking about. But for the most part, I think what's going to happen is that everything's going to get fucked up. He's going to have destroyed pretty much every coalition that got him elected, whether it's working class people, consumers that want grocery prices to go down, or billionaires and Wall Street. This is an absolute, it's a betrayal of all of those constituencies with no real clear return, other than this vague idea of Trump saying we have to do this because it's just unfair and we can't allow this to go on anymore. It's ridiculous. We're getting robbed. And that's all he has to say about this. He doesn't have a vision of what the new economy is going to look like. He doesn't have that. And so that would be great if he was just doing Tesla ads at the White House and doing, haphazard deregulation and various racist policies like going after DEI. But, this is something that really affects everybody. And he's really fucking going for it. He went straight for it. And so, we shouldn't rule out that this is some attempt to take as much power as possible from him. But I think what's more likely is that him and the Republicans are going to be so much more disempowered by this than we even would have thought possible, given how much power has just been handed to them. And then now Donald Trump has just completely fucking wrecked that. I am just flabbergasted at how much Trump could have gotten away with if he didn't do this. And so we'll see. The fat lady hasn't sang yet. We're not fully in a recession yet, although Jamie Dimon apparently is saying that multiple CEOs he knows are already saying we're in a recession, whatever the fuck that's worth. But so we don't know what's going to happen. Again, Trump could double back on this, or there could be some kind of surprise that happens. Really, Congress could overrule these tariffs if they wanted to. If the Republicans were in a bad enough situation that they had to, as a unit, defy Trump, they could reverse these tariffs and, take back that power from the White House. But as of right now, they don't seem interested in doing that. And everybody is just kind of, resigned to wait and see what's going to happen here. And if Trump has any real idea behind what he's doing here. And in my gut, I don't think he does. I don't think he, in particular, really any of us, but I think he least of all is prepared for how bad things are going to get because of this policy, exactly how bad these policies are. I think that Trump, is in a mindset where, because he has been validated so much with being elected the second time, that he genuinely thinks just any policy that he gets in his head is a good policy. And that's why, nobody around him is telling him to do this. This is completely his idea. There might be some breadcrumbs from people like Peter Navarro that have kind of laid the groundwork for this, but nobody thinks it's a good idea to go about it this way. This is purely Trump's project. This is purely his approach, his idea, and everybody knows it. So ultimately, that's bad for Trump. There's no two ways about it. It's bad for all of us too. But the fact that Trump took a strong economy, relatively strong and becoming stronger economy, and absolutely wrecked it in a matter of a couple of months is, I mean, aside from the fact that we're all fucked because of it, it is the absolute most ideal thing that he could have possibly done, because he is going to reveal to as many people in as little time as possible that he's completely incompetent, and even in the ways that he was supposed to be the most competent, like the economy and deal making and all of that, those are the areas where he is the least competent. So are his supporters going to turn on him because of that? Maybe some of them. For the most part, no. But I think, the more destitute things get because of these policies, the more palpable the conditions for an uprising are going to be. And I mean, that's the long and short of it. And can Trump try to call martial law in that situation? Yeah, but I mean, I'm not even convinced. This is going to be bad enough that I'm not even convinced that he would be able to squash it if he did that. I mean, this is the type of thing that governments get completely deposed over, is all I'm saying. So I don't know what's going to happen. The chances that this is the most apocalyptic possible scenario, I don't know. There's lots of other things that could happen that could slow this down or could cause things to go back in the other direction. But it seems like Trump wants to take it all the way. It seems like he's crazy, and the quicker we can get as many people as possible on board with the fact that this guy's fucking crazy and doesn't know what he's doing, the better. So I guess I'm just hanging on to that.